Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. And in today's video, I'll be talking about what an NFL analyst said that he thinks that the Commanders are the Texans of last year. And I'll talk about if I truly believe that or not. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell, all that good stuff. Also, check out BetUS, who will be sponsoring today's video, and comment down below what record you think the Commanders will get this year, and if you think they are the Texans of last year, I guess this year. So made a video about Tyler Owens yesterday, doing pretty well. A lot of you guys enjoyed it. He's been balling out, so go ahead and check that video after this one. But today we're just going to be talking about if this is truly possible. Can the Commanders go from how many wins they had last year up to 10 or 9, 10, 11 wins, which is around what the Texans had? They went 10-7 last year. Is it possible? Is it likely? I think it's possible. I don't really think it's likely, and I've been waiting for a while to make this video. Came out August 3rd, this tweet, and it's been it's been on the back burner. Whenever I didn't have something to talk about, I would post it, and today is that day. And Kurt, obviously, if you don't know, he's an analyst right now, does a bunch of film breakdowns, Madden stuff, whatever. But he was a quarterback, played for the Falcons, notably like behind Aaron Rodgers. He's boys with him or whatever. I guess the Falcons and 49ers as well, and went to UVA, unfortunately. Go Hokies. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. But he thinks the Commanders are the Texans of last year. They got better by leaps and bounds this offseason, are not going to be a walkover team for anyone they play. And I agree with some of that. They definitely got better, and they really completely overhauled the roster, and that's the big thing for them. And it really comes down to Jayden Daniels and how good he does, or how well he plays. Because if he is outstanding and has a CJ Stroud type season or a RG3 type season in 2012, which, let's keep it real, like, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. That could definitely happen. And if that does, they're not going to be worse than 7 wins. Like, they're going to be 7, 8, 9 plus wins. And if the team also improves from what it was last year, which is likely, plus Jayden looks really good. He has a 2012 RG3 type season, or like a similar season to what CJ had last year, then they'll win 9, 10 plus games. So it is possible. And Jayden has had a very good year, a very good offseason from what we've seen. He's had a good training camp. Haven't heard really many bad things about him there. Usually with all the former quarterbacks, we hear, Wentz had a really bad day, Fitzpatrick had a really bad day, Sam Howell had a really bad day, at least a few times. And we would hear, they're having a really good day too. It wasn't just bad days. But here with Jayden, I haven't heard one day where all the media is like he's had a really bad day. There's been a few where it's like he didn't have his best day, he was okay, but for the most part we hear good things from the media about Jayden Daniels, which is good, and also from other reporters, not just Commanders reporters. The Dolphins reporters were raving about him. Jets, not really, but they also didn't have really a fair practice, in my opinion, with the Jets. It wasn't good work because 3 of the starters on the offensive line were out. It was super rainy. It wasn't a great test. Also for the defense, because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing, but and in the preseason, Jayden's first game, 2 for 3, 42-yard pass to De'Ami Brown. Also a rushing touchdown, another completion to Terry McLaurin. Had a very good game, small sample size. And then the other day against the Dolphins, 10 for 12. I believe it was 72 yards. Also had some rushing yards as well. Had a good game. Mostly dunking, but a lot of those passes, a few of those passes were really tough. He was throwing to certain guys before they got out of their break, and De'Ami and Terry, those are tough NFL type throws against really good defense, really good coverage. So you could say he was throwing short passes and that's fine, but he was throwing really, you got to be a certain level of quarterback to make those passes. You have to. And he is at that level. But yeah, also, and we're going to get back to Jayden in a second here, but it's not just because of Jayden that, Kurt is saying this. They also did overhaul the roster. According to the depth chart, so what Eric Soley said, only 8 of the 22 offensive/defensive starters were starters on last year's team. So that is definitely a huge overhaul for sure. And trying to count the guys that were on the squad last year that are on this year's squad that are starting, you go Terry, Jahan, B-Rob, Cosme, Wiley. That's 5 on offense. And then defensively, you got Deron Payne, John Allen. That's already 7. And then, probably Montez, or not Montez Sweat, Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juste. I believe those two started last year. Maybe they technically didn't. Like, at some point, I guess Forbes was a backup for a while last year, but I thought he started the season as a starter. Regardless, not a lot of guys are going to be starters that were last year, and only a few really are from the previous regime, because like Terry and John Allen and Deron Payne, like those guys were from the Jay Gruden era. So not a ton of Ron Rivera guys, which just goes to show how bad he was at drafting here and managing a roster. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
All right, and again, a huge shout out to BetUS. Make sure you guys check them out. Link in the description. You get 125% sign up bonus for your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Use that link down below. And like I was saying, I didn't even notice this from Eric Sully right here, saying only 3 of them are Gruden guys. 3 of them are Gruden guys, meaning only 5 are Rivera guys, which, yeah, that is kind of crazy, but it is what it is. And yeah, they brought in a bunch of guys, and some of them are like not like stars. Obviously, a lot of them aren't stars or like very good players, but they are, you got Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler, who were at one point elite at their respective positions. And honestly, not too long ago, I mean, in Bobby Wagner's case, he was a stud last year. He might not be the same player he was in his prime, but he's still, at least last year, he was a very good linebacker. And then Austin Eckler, last year was his worst year, but besides that, like before that, the year before, he was still good. So you got those guys that can help establish the culture and get what Dan Quinn and Adam Peters want in this team out of them. And also, it's another thing. You have a new head coach, just like the Texans did. You got Dan Quinn. They had D'Amico Ryans, who's a little bit younger, but both defensive-minded guys, both players, coaches, and have really good attitudes and know how to get the best out of their players. And I think that is a huge help too. And, the Texans also signed a bunch of new guys as well that offseason, just like the Commanders have done. And guys started to emerge. Like, I forgot what the edge rusher's name was, but he was one of their guys that got like a bunch of sacks, 10-ish sacks, and then got paid. I was kind of wanting the Commanders to sign him, and he did well. I believe Derek Barnett was on the team too and got some sacks. Maybe that's something that Clelin Ferrell does this year. Maybe he breaks out, has a good season. Maybe they keep him, or maybe he goes elsewhere and the Commanders can get a comp pick for him. That's just, sometimes that happens. You look at a guy like Nico Collins last year. Nico Collins had a great season, 1,400 yards-ish. And the years before was like a good rotational receiver. So sometimes it takes a change of, it's not a new team for him, but it's a new quarterback, a new offensive, system-ish. And it really brings out different stuff in you. And, Nico Collins had a great year. The Texans went from 3 wins to, all the way to 10 wins in 2024. Am I saying that's going to happen with the Washington Commanders? No. But it is possible if Jayden Daniels has the season we want him to have. And some of these other guys start stepping up. Does De'Ami Brown take a Nico Collins leap? Probably not, but can he take half of that leap? Can he get from whatever he's been, like 200-ish yards every year, to like 700? That would be a huge help for Jayden Daniels. Can Terry take that big step up from a consistent 1,000, 1,100 yard guy to 1,250, 1,300 with a good quarterback? I really think he can. And does Zach Ertz have a good season? A bunch of those questions need to be yeses. or at least a few of them, for the Commanders to have a Texans type season. But the biggest one is, does Jayden Daniels have a very good season? If he does, then I think the Commanders have a very good shot of winning at least 7, 8, 9 games, and maybe even more. You see here, Dan Orlovsky said he thinks Jayden Daniels, very similar to C.J. Stroud when he's watching him. They're different quarterbacks, but for sure one's more mobile than the other, and one did it for a little bit more, or did it for longer than the other, but they both got their strengths and weaknesses. But I just thought it was an interesting thing to put up here, because that is the topic of the video, is the Texans, are the Commanders the Texans of this year, or the Texans of last year. And if that happens, it's going to be because Jayden Daniels has a CJ Stroud type-ish season. I think the Texans were a little bit better positioned with their offense, some of their offensive linemen, and their team overall. But hey, we'll see what happens. Jayden Daniels, this season is a success if he has a great year, because even if we don't have a good year this year record-wise, let's say we win 6 games and Jayden looks like a stud, well, we signed a lot of guys to one-year deals, so we can replace those guys real quick. The thing we can't replace is a franchise quarterback, can't get a new one off the street. So Jayden, if he has a big year, this team can build something special down the road. But if he has a good year and some of these other players start to step up, and same thing with coaches, then it could be more than just a feel good season. It could be a playoff trip in January for the Commanders. Not predicting it for sure. They do have an easy schedule though, so it definitely could happen, and I'm really excited for it. I don't really know what my record prediction is right now for the Commanders. I think it could go there's a big range. I think they could maybe win 10 games, but I also could see 5 or 6 wins at the same time. Let's not forget how many wins they had last year. 4. They won 4, and I know it's a whole new squad, new coaching staff and everything, similar to what the Texans did. But it doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes it's a longer process, and that's okay. If it doesn't all happen overnight, that's fine. As long as 3-4 years from now we're in a good position, that's what matters. But yeah, that's it for today's video. If you guys did stay till the end, go ahead and comment down below. Let's see. I'm trying to think of another player I could do. We've done Robert Kelly, Matt Jones. I'm trying to think of a running back that we can do. Okay, I guess we'll go another OG-ish player. We'll go, We'll go Doc Walker. A little bit of fan favorite, and, is on Twitter and, does his podcast stuff. So Doc Walker. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace. And check out BetUS. Make sure to check out BetUS. Link in the description. They got props for all these games, even the preseason games. So a lot of different stuff to bet on. Peace.